Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham. We're back again with the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters. Took a week off last week because, quite frankly, there was very little rugby on the go. And one of my guests, Henrik Swart, and myself were just discussing before we came on here. It's actually quite nice to have a little bit of a rugby break. And with that, on that note, let me welcome back the Undertaker, Henrik. Henrik, good to have you on the show, mate. A bit of a quiet couple of weeks from a rugby betting point of view.
Hi, Brent. Yeah, I haven't started that well with the Rugby Champ, so it's actually been nice for me to have a week off because my form isn't the best. But yeah, looking forward to this weekend, last week of the Rugby Champs, and yeah, building up to the World Cup. Can't wait for the World Cup.
Excellent. We're welcoming some of the guys already in the live chat. Fareed is there. It looks like Fareed is at a Hurricanes sort of a emoji, or not emoji, what's it, a profile pic you got there, and Shark Brain also joining us as well. Let's go down to the bottom, and we're having a little bit of sound interference. I'm muting him when he's not on air. I'm just remembered to unmute him when he talks. But welcome back. It's been a while since you've been on the show. Mondo, good to have you on, mate.
Yeah, how's it, guys? It's lucky to be back. And yeah, I have to agree, it is quite nice to take that whole break, especially knowing that MPC starts next week, World Cup coming up. It's going to be weekends are going to be super sport graveyards. So it's nice to take one where there's really not much choice. You know, you got to just take a bit of a break.
No, that's for sure. But we do have some quality rugby to get through this week. Fareed just saying rugby league has actually been quite good for him. But we're going to be talking, obviously, Rugby Championship here, Mondo. I've got and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I think it's all over while the shouting. A bit of the outside betting scrolling down below. 1-11 New Zealand, South Africa 11-2. And, of course, Aussies at 90-1. Is there any chance New Zealand don't win the Rugby Championship?
It's going to take... That's the thing, that I've been a strong Eddie fan all through, and he's let me down. And I've just got this quiet niggling out that he's going to pull some kind of magic maybe on Saturday. And, you know, if that happens, then miracles can happen. Look, logic says no. Logic says the All Blacks have it. But Eddie Jones and the way he talks so much crap and gets in the heads and talking about this is going to affect New Zealand's economy, the loss, and the Prime Minister, that kind of stuff, it does play on people's minds, surely. And that kind of pressure, and, you know, Bowden Barrett pressure is not his favorite thing in the world. And, you know what I mean? Like, rugby's a game about chances. And if Carter Gordon takes one of the All Blacks don't, I don't know. It's miracles can happen, I guess.
I think I have to agree with Fareed. I think zero chance. I'm not saying that Australia don't have a chance, but I would be very surprised to see New Zealand not win it from here. Unfortunately, I was on Australia at the start. But let's get into the action. Hendrik, I'll start off with you. Let's talk about the first game. Australia. This handicap opened 11.5, and it was pretty stable, actually, because, of course, these caps opened almost 2 weeks ago now when the last games took place. It was quite stable at 11.5. I actually went 9.5 initially. But after the team news, a bit of a blowout in the handicap. It's up to 16.5. Australia, of course, underdogs. And we got a high points line here, Henrik, of 59.5. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Brent, the points actually opened up this morning at 56.5. So there has been, looks like either money for the overs or just a bit of an adjustment. I'm expecting points in this one, but I didn't expect the quote to be as high as it was. 60 points for opening quote for a test match between New Zealand and Australia is a very big quote, especially for All Blacks being an away team. Last year they had a high-scoring game. That Bernard Foley had the brain fart at the end that it took too long. So you obviously have to expect points here, and Wayne Barnes is the ref. He's an overs ref. So I would have loved the points line about 52, 53.5 thereabouts, 7 points less. They'll be all over the overs. But you obviously can't make a case for the unders, but it's just high. I'm gonna go, Brent. I'm gonna go overs on Aussie points. I think it's 20.5 thereabouts. At home at the MCG, 85,000 people. I think they can score a bit of points here. They've got an exciting team. I'm not very confident on the handicap, but I also think they might just being a home game. Australia at home, 16 points underdogs. That's a big big handicap actually being at home, eh? And I know there's not going to be a lot of people agreeing with me on that one, because you can't really make a case for them with the All Blacks playing like they are in Australia the way they've played. And you know how I feel about Ian Foster and the All Blacks, but they're actually off my naughty list. They've been playing really well the last 2 games, so I'm not. It's not like I'm default going against them anymore, because they are actually playing really good rugby. It looks like their forwards have improved a lot under Jason Ryan, so you've got to take them seriously. But 16 points for me, Australia at home, that just feels way too big. And with Eddie Jones, you don't know what to expect. So on the handicap, I feel the plus is the way to go, but I like the overs on Australia more. Yeah, I think the play is Australia over 20.5 points. I can see them scoring 3 tries here, maybe getting a late consolation try to get the over 20 points for you. So yeah, my call is overs on Australia points here.
Right, just having a look at some of the other comments here. Stephen Marks, Farid had said it's moved to 18.5 in places. He's saying that's too high. Farid reckons still doable though for the All Blacks. And Shark Brain says Vinavulu still plays with league mentality. Aussies are dooms. Sorry, Johan's coming in with Aussies on the cap, and Be Strong also on the plus. Now I'm having to mute Mondo, so sorry about that, Mondo. But I am unmuting you when you speak. Just getting a bit of background interference there. But I saw you at one point there when Hendrik said Aussies points, I think it was. You put your hand up as if to say, you've just taken my bet, sir.
1,000%. That's what I've been eyeing. I mean, what a wild time to be alive. In 2023, Australia 6-1 at home. Like, it just shows how far they've fallen. Like you said, a 16.5, now you say 18.5 cap at home. And ironically, this is the team kind of that people were calling for against South Africa at the beginning. This is what they wanted us to pick, and they wanted Eddie to do. And now he's done it, and they've reacted negatively. It's kind of strange. They would have thought this is the exciting team. Either they're gonna concede, but they're gonna score. I 100% agree with Hendrik that this team has points in them. And it's sitting at, when I checked earlier, Oz is 18.5 at just basically evens, which is, I think, so low. I think they definitely.
Were you getting that line, Mondo? Or where did you see that?
Poker bet. They had 18.5, and then they had 20.5.
Right.
And something that I've sort of had a little bit of success on, and it can be quite fun, but also hairy, is the halftime points. And I think if the total is 20.5, if they are anything under 10 of Australia, I would say slam. But 10.5, I would still say, because I think they come out guns blazing. I think they start fast, but they run out of puff. But I 100% think there's plenty of points in this game. Even at 56, 57, I think it can go over. I think, and it's like I said, it's dirty for me to say this, but an attempting punt is unders on New Zealand points. For some reason, I just think that's a little bit high. It's creeping up. It's 37 now, maybe 38. And I thought to myself, it just looks a little bit high. I don't think they're going to give Oz a thrashing. I think they win, but I don't know if it's the thrashing that people think. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off and it ends up being a drubbing. But I think Eddie Jones has always been the kind of coach who can target one game, can target one tournament. You know what I mean? And I think this has been his focus all along. And he knows the Rugby Championship means nothing. So it's the Bledisloe and World Cup. And I think I don't know, maybe I'm completely off, but I think he's going to have some surprises and expect a team that can jolt.
Brent,
yeah, it's quite interesting.
With that last, sorry, Brent, that last point of Mondo, I actually read an article yesterday, I can't remember where one of the Australian players said they've been planning for this game since April. So Eddie has been targeting the Bledisloe.
Yeah, it's quite interesting as well. I mean, I tend to agree with both of you guys in the sense that I can hear you both leaning Australia on the plus, but it's just hard to make a case for it, based on what we've seen so far. It's got to be a bit of gut feel that's coming in there. And I'm with you guys there. I think Australia can do it. You know, Australia given me they've given me my only win of the Rugby Championship. I was over 30.5 points against Argentina, and they got 2 late tries to deliver it. But they cost me big time in the first week, and I must say, I'm not looking at this rugby championship with any wild confidence. But it sounds like we're all sort of singing off the same hymn sheet there. I'm going to go on to the next game. And Mondo, I'm going to come up with you on this one. We got the box here. This opened at 18.5. It's been pretty stable, I think, all week. The box obviously favorites. It's at Ellis Park. And we've got a points line here of 54.5. So, yeah, give me your views on this one. I mean, I actually thought the cap would be a bit less, but I haven't been able to convince myself to back Argentina on the plus.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that even though it's a big cap, you still will never have confidence. And I've been chatting with Crow about this game this week, and the way I can see it going is the Bucks blow them out of the water in the first half, like bonus point wrapped up first half, and then they maybe take their foot off the gas a little bit, and Argentina score 2 or 3 late ones. So it ends up being like a 45-22 kind of scoreline where Argentina have sort of come back late. So I think this Buck team have got all the pace, all the players. That back line, I'm not going to say they're going to be grinders and defensive kingpins. They're going to score points. And I think the lack of combination between 9 and 10 on attack, I've got no worries. I think they're both attack-minded and it'll work. But defensively, there could be a little bit of miscommunications and things like that, and just not used to playing with each other. Argentina will score some points, but Bucks comfortably. Bucks points 36.5. I think it could end up being a huge score, but I think they come out early. They blow them away. Argentina are nowhere in that first half, and then maybe creep back. The second 8.5 or minus 8.5 halftime is kind of intriguing for Bucks, because Liebok, they're not going to take the kicks. They're not going to go for balls. They're going to tries. Massive rolling ball. I can just see it being a bloodbath for Argentina. And remember, it's Nienaber and a couple of the players' final home test ever. So you think, emotion can sometimes be bad, but I think this Buck team into the World Cup, I think all the ingredients are there for this to be a statement match, a bit of a shellacking. And 18.5, you're never going to feel confident. And even if Argentina score a quick try, 10 points up, you know that the Bucks just going to come roaring. And but the back line, they've got points. I mean, if there's a line on tries, Bucks over 5.5 would probably be, if that's available, that would also be nice. Maybe score 6 tries. I'd say Bucks maybe even more. But if that's a line of like 5.5, I think that could be good.
Yeah, and I see Farid making the comment about RG saving themselves for next week. So as much as you say in the box, probably want to make a bit of a statement. I also wonder, Argentina made a big statement in Australia. But are they going to be at that same intensity for this Bok game? I'm not sure. So I tend to agree with a lot of what you said there. And I found myself also leaning towards points here at 54.5. Henrik, what do you think of this one? I know one thing, you're not going to be taking a halftime handicap bet, because as you and I pointed out on Twitter, that's not really our forte.
No, I'm terrible at halftime handicaps, Brent. I've had a lot of big bets, things that look good on a halftime handicap, and I've lost. So yeah, I've learned over the years it's not my thing. I'm staying out of any halftime handicap. Brent, at a spark, you always have to lean points. 54.5 actually seems very low for Alice Park, even though it's a test match. I like the box here. I just feel that they're going to bounce back here. I like the team that they've picked. Obviously, last week or 2 weeks ago would be a big disappointment. They would have targeted that game in New Zealand. They were right in the second half. They were blown out of game in the first 15 minutes. And I expect a bounce back here. And I actually, even though I've said over 54.5, I expect a good defensive performance from the box as well. And I expect them to dominate up front and starve Argentina off ball. So, box minus. I like the minus because I expect a good defensive effort from the box. And with the team they've picked, the back line getting good ball from the forwards, I expect points from the box. Exciting wings, Vili there, Marnie. I'm nervous about Marnie, but I've changed a bit, and I'm giving him a chance. I like him a bit these days. So yeah, it's strange. I'm not sure whether I'm bringing myself over correctly, but
you're getting soft, Henrik. You're getting soft in your old age there.
I'm changing to a Marnie fan, if I can say it like that.
Yeah.
He played well in that first game against Australia. So yeah, I've got to give him a chance. So yeah, and Jesse Kriel, strangely, I've always been a big Jesse Kriel fan. He's very good on defense, and we all know your number 13. He's like the guy who organizes the defense in the back line. He's the most important guy in defense, and he's defensively Jesse is very good. So I like Jesse being there. So box on the minus, Brent, and I think box overs on points, like Mondo said. I'm a bit skeptic about Argentina points. I'm not sure about them. Box minus and box overs for me. Yeah.
Saying the bog qualities that can be useful if surrounded by calm heads. And I saw Pierre Killian also popping in, and he just mentioned unders on Argentina. You were saying a bit uncertain on Argentina points, Henrik. Would you go unders or overs though if pushed?
What's the Argentina points, Brent?
You know what the Argentina points are, Mondo?
17.5.
17.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't go unders.
No, at Alice Park, that's dangerous. So I won't go unders there.
They've got like those pacey, quick backs and intercept try at the end. You know,
yeah,
and they've also got, is Bafeli playing? Is Bafeli starting? Because I mean, he can kick a long penalty as well, so they'll score.
No, he's not playing. He's not playing. He's not in the 23. Okay. So, in my opinion, if you fancy unders on Argentina, you have to go with the minus. The minus is a better bet than
rather than the unders, right?
Yeah, you're right.
That's
actually
fair enough. And anything else, Mondo, for you on that game?
What else did I thought?
Any try scorers? Are you into your try scorers or not?
Sometimes rugby league, when you have a little dabble on that, geez, it's a try scorer. That can be quite fun. In this game, you can't look further than KLA, the Whispering Death. I think he will definitely be tempting the score sheet. A sort of a thing I saw that could be quite good is second half points over 28.5. Because I think historically altitude, running out of puff, reserves, so I think you figure Argentina might sneak 2-1. You think the box 2, maybe 3, that might be worth having a little nibble at. But I mean, there's also in-play options if things are going that way. But yeah, box points, it seems like a no-brainer. I 100% agree.
All right, on the box there. Let's move on to the other internationals. We're probably not going to spend as long, and I know Henrik and myself haven't done much research on these, unless Henrik spent the last hour frantically researching. But Henrik, I will ask your general views on that, but I think Mondo is probably going to lead us through these. We've got 3 games. The first one, Mondo, Samoa minus 3.5 against Fiji. I did see a comment just before I came on air on the Good for the Game forum by Shaft, who's certainly one of our shrewder punters, and he says no ways Fiji should be underdogs in this game. What do you reckon?
Looking at the team sheets, they both have picked they're both good sides. Like, these teams are going to be handfuls at the World Cup, and they're both full strength. Samoa, I think, in my opinion, have the better forward pack, but Fiji have a wild back line, and for the first time since I've been a rugby guy, they might have found a fly-half in Caleb Muntz. He's young, but he's going to be good. He could have the goods, and if that backline can be unlocked by a good fly-half, they are in good hands for the next couple of years. If you can get points on this game, anything, literally anything under 60, take it. There's going to be so many points. They're both attack-minded. The Islanders don't tackle against each other. I do agree that they might have the wrong favorite. I would say 3.5. You take if you fancy Fiji, you don't take the handicap. You take them outright. But if you can take points. You wake up at, I think it's 2:00 in the morning, you wake up at 2 and you watch some fireworks, or you check the highlights while you're having coffee. Points for points. And if pushed, I would say Fiji probably will pip it down.
Well, I've got to go to Henrik now. As I say, I know he hasn't done a lot of homework, but what would the Oracle say in this situation, Henrik? If he thinks it's a wrong favourite, do you back them on the handicap or do you fire them on the board?
No, the handicap is a waste of time and waste of money, Brent. You just take Fiji for the win. Yeah, I agree with like Mondo said, and like you said, Shaft posted that as well, and I actually rate Shaft's post as well. He doesn't post a lot, but when he posts, you can actually take it seriously. So yeah, I agree. Fiji to win the game, even though it's a away game. Samoa, they're all right, but Fiji are a quality team, and Fiji they've been they had a very good training camp from what I saw on Twitter for the World Cup, and they are of the Pacific teams, they are the best. And yeah, I expect a very good World Cup from them. I'm looking forward to that game when they play Wales. I think that we might just have an upset there. So yeah, Fiji to win this game.
Robert, I'm going to come back to some comments. I'm going to come back to some comments. Darren Holiday made a comment about marks anytime, and I see you responded to him, Henrik. And I want to talk about that at the end of the internationals. The try scorer. Mondo, anything else on that one before we move on?
No, I was just going to say that Henrik's exactly right about you don't waste your time on the handicap there. But the Fijians, the narrative that's going around is there's 10 debutants or whatever it is. But remember, these guys all play together for Fijian Drua. So it might be their first time they're locking partnership for Fiji, but they've played together 10 times. So I think the combinations, whilst them are debutants, the combinations are there from. And that was the whole point of Fijian Drua. And look how it's benefiting them. Look, they're going to be the surprise package of the World Cup. So, yeah, I like them. I like Fiji. Always have, but now they actually are worth throwing some money at.
Right, Joel. It sounds like we're all going to be on Fiji outright there. Next game, Japan -9.5 against Tonga. Take us away on that one, Mondo.
So I don't understand the sentiment here. The only book that I've seen that had on for this was Wall Street. What's called World Sport WSB, World Sports Betting.
World Sports Betting, yes.
Yeah, and it's Tonga were 4-1 against, and I'm thinking no ways. Japan haven't been that impressive to me this series. Michael Leach, I think, is a big loss because I really like him as a captain. And this Tongan side's got some quality in it. It's not crap. Like, there's some quality sprinkled. There's a good forward pack. They've got a couple of really good backs. The cap's 8.5, like Farid says. But once again, like, I'm almost tempted to say, give them a crack on the board. At 4-1, geez, I think they've got it wrong. I think it should be much closer, like the Samoa Fiji game. At 8.5, you can feel quite confident, I would say. You know, once again, I think points will be the case. Matthew Carley, I don't mind him. But Joe, this thing, I think the bookies haven't priced this right. I didn't want to say anything. It's like, have they made a mistake? And then you start doubting yourself and start thinking, I'm the one who's made the mistake. But it just looks too high. It looks like they've got it wrong. 8.5, too much, and 4-1 on the board. It's worth it. I think it's worth having a little dabble if you've made some money in the other games. The only problem is this game is on. There's an overlap with the All Blacks Oz game. So obviously you're not going to be able to watch, or not going to want to watch. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a thing. Ooh, Stephen, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. This game's thrown me because this is a good Tongan side. It's a good Tongan side.
Yeah, Farid's in agreement with you. He thinks Tonga can win the game. Henrik, it's starting to look like in these internationals it might be a weekend where you put a multiple together with all the underdogs on the board.
Yeah, Brent, I'm not sure about this one. Where's this game being played? Is it in Japan?
Hanazono Rugby Stadium.
Okay, because the Pacific Nations Cup, sometimes all the games is being played at one.
It could be at one venue
and stuff like that. Yeah, Adam, I'm on Japan here, Brent and Mondo, sorry. But yeah, I hear you about Tonga, and on paper they've got a quality side. They've got a few ex-All Blacks and Aussies and stuff that they've got back. They've got a good coach, Tota Kefu. But yeah, Japan, and like Mondo said, Japan hasn't been that impressive. But I just like Japan, and normally they are good to me in the way they are coached and stuff. So at home, Japan. I'm probably going to be way wrong, but I like Japan. Yeah.
Let's move on to the final international game. Sorry, Mondo.
No. It's one of the games where there's not like a real confident, tangible feel about it. It's just kind of it could go either way.
There's no value.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think, put it this way, add them in with the plus maybe on a cheeky, or like Brent says, on an underdog double for a little cheeky one, but it's not worth getting properly involved.
I'm just laughing because my kids use the word cheeky all the time. It's like a cheeky this, a cheeky that, and I know you love your cheeky doubles that you post on Twitter and on the forum. And then, well, let me start with Henrik on this one. I don't know, Henrik, I haven't had a chance to look at this game. But yeah, we got obviously Scotland playing against Italy. I guess this is pretty much the start of the warm-up games for them as far as the World Cup goes. Scotland minus 13.5. Have you had a chance at all to look at this one?
Jeez, Brent, we'll have to have a look at the teams here. I have no idea what team Scotland or Italy have picked here. So, yeah, it's very tough making a call on this one. I obviously Scotland first, so the game is in Scotland. Italy on the plus. Italy, they're not that bad. They're playing good rugby. But yeah, sorry.
You want to have a look?
No.
We'll see Mondo. Mondo, have you looked at the teams? Farid saying the Scottish team is out.
Yeah, so both teams are out. The Scottish team is quite decent actually. It's young, but it's good. They've gone solid. They've got a good forward pack, decent backline. Like, it's kind of getting there to what the World Cup team is going to be. It's not a mishmash. The Italy side are missing a lot of their top guys. Their flanker, the fullback, Tommy Allen's the fly off, and I don't rate him. Even the Cape Town boy, don't rate him. I think Scotland is the way to go on this one. I think they make a statement at home. Italy, I think, are blooding a lot of youngsters, giving guys a bit of an opportunity, leaving the stars at home. Scotland at home. Yeah, Scotland on this one. I think if the weather,
I see WJ says 50-50 on the weather, so it could be some sort of rain about. But from what you've told me, Mondo, and I think look, as Henrik said as well, you've got to look at the teams before you can make any sort of call here, and you've done that and are leading towards the Scottish minus. And I must admit, Henrik, he makes quite a convincing argument there. On hearing the teams and that, I'd probably be leaning in that direction as well.
And the one thing to keep in mind is Scotland's not exactly a tropical paradise. So if the weather turns crap, it might actually play into their hands a little bit. They're more used to it. I don't know if it'll be a spectacle. Both of these teams aren't exactly setting the world on fire. But, I think Scotland, like a 30-10 kind of result, where neither team really looked the goods, but Scotland there in doubt.
Right. Well, just a reminder, if you're not subscribed to our weekly newsletter, we'll be sending that out tomorrow sometime. I'll no doubt be analyzing the show and coming up with a best bet. We did give it a skip last week. There was absolutely no rugby to talk about. Although I got to tell you guys, I backed Harman in the golf at 150-1. Can you believe it? I absolutely and I'd had much bigger bets on Scheffler and Cameron Smith. And of course, those two went missing. And my 150-1 shot that, of course, I just had a few rand on, but it was enough to ensure quite a lack of profit. So, yeah, I've quite enjoyed the last couple of the sort of last week without a bit of rugby. It was nice to take a bit of a break. Just Darren coming in on that one. Looked at the Scott side, Healy at 10, backed them to cover the handicap, and Farid saying 30-10 is a great call. He agrees as well. So quite a lot of agreement there in the live chat. But, gents, we're moving on to there's nothing else really to talk about from a rugby point of view this weekend. So let's go on to our best bets. And, Mondo, what are your best bets of the weekend?
Shit. Look,
my most on to you, Henrik. No, I'm only kidding. Now, carry on, Mondo.
I think you can't look much further than overs on South Africa points. I think that's got to be close to everyone's heart. I think, that would probably, and if in the Samoa Fiji game, if there's a points line anything below 60, I would probably say maybe that. But being a reasonable level-headed punt, South Africa over 37 and or whatever it is, anything under 40, I would say is doable, is still a decent bet.
Right, South Africa overs a pretty confident pick there from Mondo. Right, Henrik, what do you think best bet?
Yeah, Brent, I'm not confident on anything this weekend, but box minus for me. Because I expect them to put on a bit of a defensive effort as well, and Alice Park has always been good for the box. It's like the Auckland of New Zealand. So box minus for me. But what's the best minus? You quoted 18.5. Is there anything lower?
I haven't seen less generally, but I must admit I didn't look around.
Anything under 3 converted tries, I'd be happy to take the box and the minus.
Right,
I think
and
Brent, more.
Brent, are we going to talk Netball World Cup after this?
Yes, let's chat a bit of Netball World Cup. Chat a bit of it. Just to run through Johan's treble here. His weekly treble. Fiji win Australia over 20.5 and box over 36.5. Johan, I like that one a lot, and that's at 13-2. That's a nice one. Stephen Mark said best bet the box points. Seen Bo, SA any minus. And Farid Manuel goes box on a Mursa minus. He also like ABs on the minus. But yes, let's chat a little bit of Netball World Cup. Henrik, have you started? I mean, I've tried to study a little bit of form in that, but I must admit I've been battling a bit to find what way to go. What do you make of the Netball World Cup? And of course, gets going tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Is it that early? No, I was actually only joking, Brent. But actually, I had a look at the handicaps, and there's some big handicaps. But like
the shortest price. I think the shortest price tomorrow in the opening game is something like 1-16 or something like that. And I mean, there's total points as well. Like I'll give you an example. The game between New Zealand and Trinidad and Tobago, I think, or something they're playing. New Zealand are minus 55.5, and total goals is like 104.5. So going to be very, very interesting.
You might have a look at unders on the underdog as a bet there. But I also saw like minus 66 and minus 72.5 handicap. Crazy, But unfortunately, I don't know anything about netball. I was only joking about that one.
I can tell you though that they've got actually quite a nice format. It wouldn't work for rugby, and the reason it wouldn't work for rugby is your World Cup would take a hell of a long time to get through. But because netball can play every day, they've got 4 groups of 4, and the top 3 in each group then form 2 other groups of 6. And you go through with your group, so those games carry forward, and then you play another group, and you get those matches, and then ultimately from there you get your semi-finals. So what that does mean is you've got a very good chance, even if, like, take South Africa, for example. South Africa actually, there's 4 huge favorites, and then there's South Africa sort of 5th, and then there's the rest. So South Africa, they're in the group with one of the big favorites, but they have got a chance, that if they're good enough, they should progress, and they got a chance of getting through this. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And Mondo, is it something you're going to have a look at? Are you going to go to any of the games? It's down in Cape Town.
Well, it's funny you should mention. I was in town this afternoon, and it's not like a mainstream sport. Not to be belittling anything, but it's not something you think of all the time. And the presence in town, the police presence, and it's quite a big scale spectacle. And I hope the people at Cape Town support it. It looks like they've really done it properly, and it's going to be something quite legit. My stupid brain was like, oh, is this going to be on par with like the under 20s? No, this is a legit world-class event by the looks of it. So I want to try and go watch a game or two. I think we should support them. And obviously I am a degenerate, so I'll definitely have a punt or two.
I'll say something which is not going to please netball fans. I'm looking forward to it from a betting point of view in that. But for me, netball is not a great game to watch. And it's not because, I love watching. You guys know I was mad about the Ladies Rugby World Cup. I was up at 2 a.m. watching that. But netball is a sport. And I'll tell you what and you guys watch netball and tell me what you think afterwards. one of the big problems with netball is it's too easy to score a goal. So I was looking back, because I did do a bit of research, and I was looking back at the last World Cup. And I think it was the semi-final, the final was like a 53-52 or something. But the one Australian shooter got 30 out of 30 shots in. Now, I'm saying if they want to, I'm saying netball, the problem with netball is when it gets in that circle, it's almost a goal without, and to me that takes away, but it's a little bit like penalty shootouts all the time. They should somehow make it harder to score, whatever they do, because some of these 6'8" girls and they just pop the ball in the net. And for me, that takes away, there's lots of skill involved. It's a really tough sport to play and all the rest of it. But for me, when it gets into that center circle there where they shoot, it's just too easy. Not for me, but for them. And that's what I would change.
I'll tell you, my cousin, it plays for Marty's netball, and she's 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", and so she's always been tall. She's had a growth spurt, and the height difference in women up until professional is so profound. So there's no one can block the shots. There's nothing. So like you say, it's money ball.
But that's the other problem. That's the other problem with netball. You're not allowed to actually block. There's that element of not a contact game, but so if the girl's shooting, I think you should be able to jump in her face and snap the ball out of her hand and stuff. You can't do that sort of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to watch. I'm definitely looking. I'll bet on anything and have a look. But for me, the problem with netball, it's not. To me, they need to look at that game and say, how do we make this game more exciting, more entertaining to watch? And I'm just praying that there's no hardened netball players going to be watching the end of our show, because then I know I'm going to be in serious trouble. I was telling you guys something quite amusing. I was on Facebook and the Tour de France just finished, and I was on I can't remember what was one of these things that popped up on my timeline. Not that I subscribed to it, but it was talking about the Danish people and how happy they are that Vingegaard won the Tour de France and all of that sort of stuff, and he was brilliant, But I made a chirp underneath. I said something like, even the Danes deep down wanted Pogačar to win the thing. I've taken some abuse for that comment. The Danes don't have much of a sense of humor when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yes,
you opened yourself up there, Brent.
Yeah, no, I opened myself up. And it was more, I actually do know one Danish guy, so I was hoping he would see it and just see me giving a rip. But some of the Danes, they've really come at me on that one. And Mark Dumpy joins us now. Now, Mark, you're just in time for the end of the show, mate. We've done the best bets. You'll have to watch the replay, but good to see you and hope you are well. Stephen, cheers. Have a great weekend. And what does T. Kawanga say here? I thought you guys were joking. What do you say? I thought you guys were joking. Thought you were talking about Women's Football World Cup. Yeah, that's also on at the moment. The problem for me there with that Women's Football World Cup is I haven't been able to watch any of the games. I've never really got into it. But
it's a terrible time. It's way too early in the morning as well.
It's quite tough.
Banyana are playing at, I think, 2:00 tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
but even the first game, they were a bit unlucky, I think they played Sweden or Switzerland or something, and they conceded an own goal. And I think they just lost. But anyway, we'll see. Mark, your apologies accepted. We got a good weekend of rugby betting ahead. It sounds like Henrik and Mondo will be punting some netball as well. Maybe I'll put a netball bet up as the best bet in the newsletter tomorrow. Thanks, all the boys in the live chat. Great to have you on. Undertaker, both of our Wi-Fi's held up tonight. That was good news. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Good luck.
Cheers, Mondo. Thanks, mate. Thanks a lot. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.